Okay, and we're back. Usually when I do a stream restart, I just realize I still have Galaxy playing in the background. I don't know how long this will be, but I guess technically it could be a song request stream. But it's not going to last very long. Give me a moment to put on good music. Alright, there we go. Alright, so I think around the time when I beat the blob, I had an idea of, oh, what if I ranked the games that I did for RetroAchievements for the Wii event? That sounds like a fun idea. Also lets me reflect and talk about the games. Which, let me tell you, some games are not going to be looked at as favorably as others. I think I feel like renaming all the tiers because I can't exactly come up with 4 different succinct ways to sum up my feelings. Like maybe S rank could just be something like cozy and fun, but then the others I'm just like, But this right here sums up my feelings very well, so be the exception. A tier list, you thought I'd never succumb to this. This is even the first time I've done a tier list. Fake fan. Also, this is bonus content, so I can just click the end stream button if you don't like it. I'm not going to do that, but you can click the close stream button and then you don't have to watch it. Alright, and first up we have Galaxy 1, which I'm feeling kinda just one of these tiers because none of the achievements were particularly hard. For the most part, it was just play the game, and Galaxy 1 is just playing the game twice, because once is Luigi and once is Mario. It was kind of like Galaxy 2 in that every Galaxy had like a unique achievement, but Galaxy 1 had unique achievements that where half of them weren't just ass. I guess I'll put like A tier, because I didn't really have anything to complain about. It was just a little stale, just because you do the game once, they have to do it again, but that's not achievement set fault. Okay, hang on. I made the classic playlist oopsie where I didn't click the shuffle button. Okay, we go, that's better. Because I generally just like Galaxy 1, so I'm willing to rate it favorably, although it doesn't hold a candle to Kirby. Epic Yarn is the Light 48 game. And none of the achievements, but particularly that bad, although I think you do final boss damage just now. It's kind of annoying, because I feel like I got scammed a few times. But it didn't take long. Really, the only problem I had during the process of this was streaming till like 2 AM at one point. Just try and finish it off. But that was like more my fault than the game's fault. But yeah, it was mostly just play Kirby's Epic Yarn again. Which, no complaints here. And it's like one of the best Wii games, so thumbs up all around. Because thankfully, Epic Yarn is a fairly tight experience. Like, you don't have the problem of 100% cleanup that we'll get to with the other games, probably. Alright. Poke Park. Pikachu's Adventure for the full title, I guess. This feels like a middle of the road game. Like, achievement wise, there wasn't anything particularly noteworthy until you get to the minigame mania, in which case it's asking some of the minigames is like, oh my god, this is insane, because you suddenly get 25, 50-point achievements. Rayquaza, yeah, and then you also got people really complain about Latios and Latias. I think I got lucky with Latios because it didn't take that long. Oh yeah, and also Rotom's minigame. Plus, I won't lie, the game itself is just a bit dull. Probably because it was made for 7-year-olds and I'm not 7 years old. So playing through it was just a bit boring. Congrats on finishing. Thank you. But at least, I guess it also is kind of a slog. I didn't really think about it too much, but having to do every minigame for every Pokemon is just kind of a bunch of hassle. And then you've also got the ungodly amount of motion control. That was a challenge I had to overcome. Basically, this game and Mario Party 8, I guess I'm getting myself, were the games where the motion bollocks of the Wii really was the main challenge, it feels like. Well, that's a bit disingenuous because there were definitely hard things than just making sure the motion worked right. Alright, new soup. I'm gonna rate this disconnected from the multiplayer stuff because this is the... I'm thinking about the single player here. Which, this feels kind of like an A, because it was mostly fun, and then playing the game was like, wow, I'm just playing new soup. Which is not a bad game, it's just a bit sterile, because it's new soup. But the only time it got, like, actually annoying was World 9. But, you know, you can't just say ass because of a little bit of friction. It feels a bit of a knee-jerk reaction. Okay, Twilight Princess. I feel like I have to put this here because it's just Twilight Princess. It's one of the most fun Zelda games, and the achievement set's literally just 100% Twilight Princess. Essentially. Oh yeah, and beat the bosses without healing, but that's hardly difficult. It's like, wow, the freest event points and achievement points of my life. Besides, like Twilight Princess, so nothing to really complain about. The one thing that's kind of interesting about the Wii set is that it wants you to open every chest, which isn't exactly something the game requires of you for anything. So that was interesting. Okay, crossbow training is a funky one to rank, because it's kind of like Twilight Princess, and it was the freest points I got in this event. Because it didn't even take me like a full stream, it took me like a half a stream. Because I started it and finished in like 3 or 4 hours, I'm just like, okay, I guess I'm done. Radical. I guess I can go there, because a light gun shooter isn't exactly like my cup of tea, but I didn't hate what I played. It was just not exactly my speed, but it was also, it didn't overstay its welcome. So for that, you can gain some favor. If I was ranking these by difficulty, this one might be at the top just because of how quick it was. But this is mostly based on my experience and how much I enjoyed doing it. Alright, Super Paper Mario. This is an interesting one, because I think it's kind of just like some of these others where it's just like 100% Super Paper Mario, but if you know anything about Super Paper Mario, you know what that entails. I do like this game, because thankfully it's Paper Mario with still some of its source, even if it is a 2D platformer for whatever reason now. But it still has good characters, a good story, and it's not like, oh guys, look, I made a paper, isn't that so quirky and funny? Because that's something that icks me about the games that come after this. I guess I'll put it there, because I had more fun with this game. The problem is, once you beat the game and you've got to do 100% cleanup, it's such a slog. Just get your crag up, bruh. I don't think I want to get my crag up. I don't know if I like what that means. Anything else worth mentioning about Super Paper Mario? I want to know what that means, thank you. Craggly ho! Oh yeah, I guess it was fun to do my voice acting shtick for this game. It was like one of the few Wii games where I felt worth it, because I didn't bother for like any other game. I guess I bothered for the Blob, but that game didn't feel too worth it either. Okay, oh look, we have our first ass. God, was this a choice that I made? Because this isn't just the Rumble. If this was just the Rumble set by itself, it would probably go like here. But I did the Professor Oak challenge, and God, that was a choice I made, because it just meant it took twice as long and it was half as fun. Because I have to keep playing the same level over and over just to pick up Pokemon. I have to pick up more Pokemon than I would have to if I was just playing it normally, because I have to get like 50 in my Pokedex before I beat the first area. When we're end, trust me, that's how I was feeling. At first it was fine. Sometimes it was a little boring because I wasn't like super jiving with the game, but fortunately, as time went on, I kind of became more acclimated towards just being good at it. Like, I got more proficient in setting up wobbling and such, which basically meant you could guarantee catching something. Which, God, without that, I don't know if I like what 100% in this game would be like. Oh, that speedy Jolteon was like the peak of the playthrough. That was such a lucky grab, and it felt like fate because it's basically the best speedy Pokemon in the game. Because I don't think there's any Pokemon faster than Jolteon in that game. Actually, there is Electrode, but outside of the slightly better speed stat, Electrode is just worse Jolteon, so... Plus, it's only 10 speed points, so you wouldn't even really notice the difference. Plus, the end segment pissed me off, because I had to do like a stream that took an hour just to finish off because it decided to be a pain in the ass. So there you go, Pokemon Rumble. Technically, I could maybe argue this place would be like here instead, but it just feels more cathartic to illustrate my feelings. I just point it here. Alright, Pokemon Rumble, enjoy hell. I won't be seeing you there. Alright, the Blob. My good reaction is put the Blob like here. I don't know if I'm ranking these. I don't think I'm ranking these like by order. Like, do I like Pokepark more than the Blob? I probably like the Blob more. But I don't think the Blob is on the same level of enjoyment as these. I'm glad that I played the Blob, and yes, it's a decent vibe. But I don't remember it being like the most enriching gameplay. Until the end, yeah, the end was annoying, but I wouldn't rank it down just for the ending. Because it's not the achievement set's fault, that's just the game, but I guess that would also... This is kind of like a group ranking of the game and the set. But it's just weird that like the last two levels have points of no return when no other level did. That was a curious design choice from the devs. Plus, I mentioned this once, but I was actually going to do the Blob 2, but then... As well as Blob 1, but then they decided, Galaxy 1 and 2 are being doubled in points. So I was just like, okay, I guess I don't need to. I considered still doing it, but then I was also like, if there's anything I can cut just to actually play other games, you know, it's definitely bad, so I just axed it. Maybe the Blob 2 will return at some point, but it's not high up on the list, I'll tell you that much. But I do like you looking at all these games and then it's like the Blob's here. Because everything else is hard Nintendo. That's a funny dichotomy. Yeah, you're not wrong. Okay, we have our second ass. Going into this game, I did not expect this game to be how it was. I thought the stuff... Cow! Okay, that was funny. Just a random cow, but the cow would also troll me. But also just gave me 3 goals because they took out the entire enemy team. Good map. I rated Party Game out of 10. But yeah, this game was torturous. I think I ended up taking like 10 more hours than the median master time just because trying to beat these CPUs was like, oh my god. Sorry, just unplugging my controller. It felt like an amateur football team going against literally the ones winning the World Cup. In a lot of the matches that I did. I'm just so glad that I figured out I could just save scum the matches, because otherwise this game could have been actually impossible. Either that or it would have been such a time sink. And I don't need Super Smash Bros. Melee 2.0. Which saying that is ironic because Brawl is in this ranking. Camelot only got worse from here. Camelot didn't make this game though. I mean, technically your statement isn't wrong. But, you know, for the right dev, because Strikers Battle League, everyone makes fun of that game for being bad, so. And I think the game directly after this was Luigi's Mansion 2, which I feel like people also dunk on. So, technically you're not wrong. Is there anything else to say about Strikers Charged? Well, I mean, the best part was when I got to play Speedy Piranha, but I didn't get to do that a lot because I had to beat the story mode to unlock him. But it was satisfying, him just getting incredible goals, because his shooting stat was great. Alright, enjoy hell with Pokemon Rumble, Strikers Charged. I really wish the CPUs weren't like level 100 when the max difficulty is 9, because god, that's what I felt like sometimes. Like, I thought we left cheating CPUs back in the N64 and GameCube era, but no. I guess this game came out early enough in the Wii's lifespan to where it could potentially bleed over. God. If only I'd do better. Yeah, if I had the gift of foresight, maybe I would have replaced this game with something else, but unfortunately, I am not psychic. Because while Pokemon Rumble was also ass, it was mainly ass because it was more of a grind than hard, but Strikers pissed me off, whereas Rumble didn't really piss me off. Well, there's a little bit of being pissed towards the end because of Mewtwo. But I quickly got over it, so it was less of a long-term issue. Alright, DKCR. I feel like I have to put this here. What was the level of waves that drove me insane? Right, I think that's Tidal Terror. Right, I hate that level so much. Yeah, I feel like I've put the game in C tier. Like, the game by itself is good. I think I found it enjoyable, but the problem is, what if you had to beat every level 3 times? And that's being generous, technically, because you've got being it normally, and then in mirror mode, where you also can't have Diddy Kong, but I didn't find mirror mode that bad. Having to knock it. But then, just to put the third point of the triangle, you had to also do time trials. And unfortunately, this game has absolutely dreadful time trials. Some stages have extremely tight times, to the point where it gets kind of absurd. And other games are just really annoying to time trial, like Tidal Terror. That one's probably more of a me beef than a general beef, to be honest. But I just say Tidal Terror, so Sumu. It's true, I would look up, like, the same guy doing shiny gold times for, like, every level on the Switch version, and 8 times out of 10, the time would be more lenient in the Switch version. And I'm just like, isn't that telling? At least the gold time was, not the shiny gold time, I think. Usually the shiny gold time was the same. Though I think there were some exceptions. But the fact that they changed it all in later versions is extremely vindicating. You know, I could believe that, because I'm sure there were some that were just really easy, but you know, I'm less likely to remember one that was really easy than the ones that were pains in the arse. I'm looking at U5-4, I'm good. If I could strangle a level, I would. But unfortunately, a level is just a abstract concept, as well as the fact that it's just a giant expansive area. So it's kind of impossible. Because another thing that annoys me about this game is the time trials also apply to the boss fights, and while that wasn't really much of an issue at all, it's still just a little annoying. Because usually anything I play with time trials, the bosses don't usually get made part of the equation, but this one did. It's just kind of annoying because it's kind of just a knowledge check of, do you know how to make this boss die quicker? Anyways, I guess this can be K-tier for Kong. Damn hilarious. Okay, well now we have Mario Party 8. Which, the most annoying thing about this game was just the motion back and forth, because you guys can see it, but basically every time I got to a minigame, I basically had to check, is this a sideways or an upright remote game? And if I was using the opposite of what it was, I would have to go into my Dolphin control settings and change my control scheme every time. Ha ha ha! No. But he, I would say MC Ballyhoo he makes funny noises. Whoa! Whoa! I don't know if I can recreate the world very well. Whoa! Nah. I think I'd give this like a B tier. Because the game was pretty fun to play, but the control scheme switching was annoying, and then also this wouldn't really rank it down, but that one puzzle minigame that you had to do for an achievement, God, I hated that. That was like one of the worst things I had to do in this entire thing. I won't lie, as I was actively doing it, I was kind of getting a headache. I think it's Event. if you talk about that command. Yeah, there you go. Okay, I will admit, I will agree, Sylveon. As much as I was losing my mind over it, Candy Addict Luigi was definitely an all-timer. It's like probably in general for this whole retro achievement thing, because like I'm sure that was hilarious if you're watching, but me, like I said, I was losing my marbles. Because just imagine playing something like a sport where you had a teammate that you couldn't get rid of, and they were actively not even trying. That's because he was a toddler. You leave candy next to him, and then you look away, you look back, and it's gone. And you ask him, where'd the candy go? And they go, I don't know. Because, you know, toddlers, they see thing, they touch thing. And if it's edible, you bet they'll eat it. Yeah, we did, because we just got the sauce. / Luigi stopped throwing. That said, I think towards the end of that one achievement, he did actually clutch up. But I also clutched up myself, so. I was mostly hard carrying, but he at least helped out a bit. Oh yeah, I haven't mentioned it. But the other worst thing about this achievement would just be set would just be the fact that it's Mario Party, so you deal with a lot of RNG, and sometimes it's just really frustrating. Plus, I'm not particularly going to miss the who knows how many times I was just reloading for a 10%, because it was the easiest way to do an achievement. But otherwise, I'm just kind of proud that I managed to do this game. Oh yeah, you also test for the best, which is like the hardest thing in this game. Because imagine having to get a perfect score in 10 minigames in a row. But that fortunately didn't take too long. But it could have easily been the Maya for this game. if I wasn't just cracked. I don't think any other game really had anything to compare. Just in terms of a difficult final challenge. I guess Donkey Kong and Strikers were just hard all around, so. The Ion minigame! It's funny you find that so stressful, because that was one of the free minigames. Especially because you can pause buffer it, which is hilarious. Alright, now we have the longest game to master, Super Smash Bros. Brawl. Well deserving of the triple points. I lean towards putting this in A, just because I really like playing Smash, and I got to play a lot of Smash. Plus, overall, something in its favour that's not even necessarily is the game's fault, even though this is a positive, so I don't know if fault is like the right term here, is that it's not melee. which some people use that to degrade Brawl, but here I'm thankful because it means I don't have the most cheating CPU that I've ever had to deal with in a fighting game. It also helps that the potential hardest achievements, you could just spam continues and you would get the same reward anyway. Because like, oh, do hardest all-star vow continue in Melee? That shit takes 5 days. In Brawl though, just use 3 continues. That's okay, champ. Because Brawl isn't insane and has a message for doing that without using a continue. Thank God. Because that's the only reason that achievement existed in Melee. And then the achievement set bloody nerfed it at some point. Which thank God, but it's a shame that I had to be the guinea pig for that, essentially. Me among other people. The worst thing I could really say about this game is that it's just a slog. Because you've got like so many modes where you have to do them with every character, and there's 35 characters, and so many modes that you have to just keep going through with them all. It was getting a bit boring at a point. Sticker grinding. Oh yeah, that too. I spent a day not streaming because of that. It's funny, I just completely forgot about the stickers. Imagine if I streamed a day of sticker grinding, that would have been so bad. But I just didn't feel like something that was worth streaming, just because not only was it just me going to my sticker factory like for a whole day on fast forward. It's like, what am I supposed to comment on? It's just the same thing over and over. You would have been here, Sylveon. I think you'd be here if I was watching paint dry, because it's like, oh, time to get Pokerogue points. Because you don't always need to engage with what's happening on the stream. I might be onto something. You can't believe Pokemon Rumble is there? I can. Oh, double S. Yes. Certainly. Yep, you called me. I secretly love Pokemon Rumble and would rank it the best Wii game. I would say probably my favorite thing about doing Brawl was that I think people say intense boss battle is like the hardest achievement, and I did it like 3rd try. That felt good. Maybe even 2nd try. It was honestly a banger way to end it, because it's such a contrast to bloody Melee. Big fan of how that turned out. Plus, this is probably going to be blasphemous, depending on who you are, but I think Brawl is just... I like playing Brawl more than Melee. Especially because the characters that I am familiar with in Ultimate, and to a lesser extent Smash 4, just feel more like those characters than in Melee. Granted, some things feel weird because some moves haven't been changed yet, but... ultimately the character still kind of feels the same. You just got that one move, usually like an aerial. Really, the worst thing I can think of about doing broad achievements were getting the Ridley and Mayor Ridley trophy specifically, because it feels like I was being rage baited. Especially Mayor Ridley, because I did that level like 10 bloody times. Just because the trophy either wouldn't stay on the stupid ship, or sometimes I think he might have died just twice when I didn't mean to kill him. Because at one point there was this explosive on screen and he just flew into it like a Nimrod. Ridley, I thought you were meant to be smart. Either way, Brawl is good. Don't let the melee haters tell you otherwise. Is it the best Smash game? God no, but it deserves more respect. At least until you trip, in which case then your hatred is vindicated. Alright, Poke Park. I mean, this is probably just deserves to go here. It's kind of just the same as Poke Park 1, but you have more playable characters. But Pikachu and Snivy just feel the best to play, so I'm not even saying that out of Snivy bias, it's just true. Because Oshawott and Tepig just feel a lot clunkier. Which I guess the trade-off is they're probably slightly better in combat. But good luck being good with them in combat when their clunky movement just makes it impossible to get hit in. Which I guess doesn't matter in normal fights, but if you're doing the Colosseum thing, which is basically the game's final challenge, then there's going to be its own challenge. I remember struggling with that thing when I was younger. I don't know if I ever beat it, but now I can definitely say I have, so that feels nice. Really, the best part about this game is that it's the only Pokemon game on the Wii that has Gen 5 Pokemon. And Gen 5 is peak. You probably wouldn't have expected to hear me say this. But I'm always about breaking expectations. Well, like I said, I don't think I feel like ranking them like within their own tiers. Because that just makes me have to reconsider like all of the minutiae. But I probably would rank this higher than the first game because it has Snivy and Whimsicott in it, so it automatically makes it better. But also, just achievement-wise, the hard thing in Poke Park 1 is a lot less annoying than Poke Park 2. Because Poke Park 1 has a lot more motion control garbage. And some of that garbage you have to do really well in for achievements. Not necessarily because of the game. So it's not the game's fault, but it's just that's fault. So sorry, Poke Park, to affect your ranking. But the equivalent in Poke Park 2 is just grinding pointless stupid things. Like, oh, you must score 100 goals. And you must tackle Pokemon 500 times. Like, this isn't even an achievement set problem. This is a game problem. It's the opposite of Poke Park 1's problem. I'm realizing. Where it's the achievement set's fault, but for Poke Park 2, it's the game's fault. What were the devs thinking? But generally, I prefer a time sink as opposed to something hard, because at least with a time sink, I know it will be done eventually. But if something's hard, then it becomes a question of, okay, how long is this going to take? And there's always that small part of you might think, can I even do this? Usually doesn't last long once I get to a specific point. But that fear can always be implanted. So you always have to keep it in the back of your mind. I will say the funniest thing about Pokemon 2 is that it tries to have a serious story. Which I'll give it credit for trying, because the first game's story wasn't like anything to really care about. It's just funny. I'm sure when I was like 12, I was like, oh my god, this is the coolest thing ever. Alright, we've gone to Kirby again, and unsurprisingly, oh look, it's going up, and up, and up, and up, and up, and there it is. This game basically has the opposite problem of Rumble, where K, it's K for Kong. I just felt like being a funny little guy. Especially because I didn't feel like any other game was going in the tier, so I just felt, what's next to Strikers? Pokemon Rumble! Is there because, God, it was a tedious, arduous endeavor, and it's like the only game I played out of all of them where sometimes I felt like I was falling asleep playing it. Battle Revolution? God, Battle Revolution would be so much more fun. It'd probably be an SRA based on what I'd expect it to be, but who knows, sometimes you're given a rude awakening. But I think that game's retro team is being worked on, so that'd be fun to do at some point. Anyways, Kirby! I mean, Return to Dreamland, I think, is just the best Wii game. It's also pretty good for Kirby game standards, although the more modern Kirby games come out, the more it gets dethroned, to be honest. Like, in terms of just main conventional Kirby games, it's probably like 4th. Because I feel like Triple Deluxe is better than it, and Planet Robot and Forgotten Land are definitely better than it. I could see there being a discussion of whether you prefer 2D Kirby to 3D Kirby when there's actually more 3D Kirby games, but right now Forgotten Land has like that unique novelty factor. Anyways, we're not talking about Kirby games here, we're talking about Return to Dreamland. Yeah, I just enjoy this game. And it has the opposite problem of Rumble, where Rumble subset really bogged the game down, but surprisingly, Return to Dreamland subset only made it better. Because doing the True Arena was actually pretty fun. I thought it would be like Brawl, where playing a mode like however many times there are characters, essentially, would feel like slog, but technically, well, not even technically. In this game, I only did it once, whereas in this game, I did it like 7 times. Because, you know, this game has Classic, All-Star, 100-man melee, 10-man melee, target test, level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then this game was just True Arena. So it's basically, oh yeah, and this game also has boss battles. So it's basically, this game just has boss battles, and that's it. That's only if you do the subset, which I did, and it was fun. Really, the only bad part about the set was having to play the game twice because of extra mode. It's basically a Galaxy 1 situation. But at least Return to Dreamland does it more interestingly because the bosses are souped up and you also have less health, whereas in Galaxy you're just Luigi, which pretty much makes the game easier. Outside of one or two instances where you might die because Luigi's slippery. Because I'm sure that'll happen like once or twice, but most of the time you're just cruising because Luigi is absurdly good at being a platforming character. On account of being faster and jumping higher. Oh yeah, the second worst thing about Return to Dreamland is probably the platinum medals for the challenge stages, because those were annoying. They weren't too much of a time commitment, but it's definitely the hardest thing in this game, achievement-wise, and even just casual-wise, if you go for them, but I think you could 100% the games just getting bronze medals based on the fact I got bronze medals in extra mode, and that was good enough for 100%, so... In terms of bad achievements in achievement set, or just bad time in achievement set, more like. It's been far worse, because some things have overstayed their welcome for longer. Plus, if we're being honest, it's something I've already done before anyway, because I think I've gotten the platinum medals before in Return to Dreamland, whether it was Return to Dreamland Deluxe or the original. Maybe even both. Well, technically I could find out just by opening the game, but I don't feel like it. Brief way, all in all, spread the word. Kirby's Return to Dreamland is the best Wii game, and I will not be taking questions. Because it was the fantastic reboot of Kirby. And all rejoiced. I know I did when it came out. But again, when it came out, I wasn't like super in tune with the state of the Kirby franchise. But God, was this game a good direction for it. Anyways, enough about talk about the great Kirby franchise. That's not what this tier list is about. Don't get derailed. And now we've arrived to the last game, the recent one that we just finished playing. I'm not super sure about where to put this one. It's probably like a B or an A. Because I feel like maybe I'll just put it as A. Because moment to moment, I think I had more fun playing it than Galaxy 1. It helps that the game doesn't make you play it twice. Although, it kind of feels like I had to play 3 times because of green stars and the speedrun achievements. But, I mean, honestly, the speedrun stuff was pretty fun because it didn't overstay its welcome. Unlike somebody. I feel like I'm realizing I don't have an inherent aversion to time trials. It's just sometimes games just make the time trial process overstay its welcome. It's like you will get a godly time and you'll spend an hour on each level doing it. I'm just like, ugh, can we not? Please. Although maybe it just helps that Galaxy 2 and to a lesser extent Galaxy 1 are just games I've played a lot, so I'm just in tune with the movement system. Well, I played Galaxy 1 more, but you know, it carries over. Because the way Mario controls isn't really different between the games, besides spinning underwater, because in Galaxy 1 you could just spam it. But Galaxy 2 doesn't even have a lot of water levels, because they probably realized that they overdid it with Galaxy 1, because Galaxy 1 has so much more swimming. Which in turn makes Luigi even better in Galaxy 2, because his other weakness besides being slippery is that his air meter sucks. But given that Galaxy 2 only has like 2 levels, maybe 3 where you even swim, it barely comes up. So I was trying to figure out what song this was, but I figured it out. Okay. I'm sure it's no surprise that the worst part about Galaxy 2 is that some of the achievements are just kind of whack. Like, don't talk to me about the Bowser Jr.'s Boomsday Machine achievement. That shit was whack. And it's also only worth 5 points, which is crazy. Although the annoying thing about Galaxy 2 in general, actually, that spreads to more than just that achievement, well, not even that achievement, because it's not too relevant to that one, is if you need to restart the level, you can only do so by exiting level and then reopening it. There's just no restart option, which is so annoying. Donkey Kong at least had the sensible grace to have that. Galaxy 2 is just lucky I have a fast forward button, otherwise I'd probably have more beef with it. But it's still kinda bad. It's also just crazy because imagine having an in-game way to track how fast you beat levels, but you don't have an option to restart the level, and it doesn't. The timer doesn't restart if you die and respawn at the start of the stage. So it's just questionable implementation at that point. Though Donkey Kong had the same problem of if you die, you just respawn and the timer keeps going. But at least that game had a restart button, so it made it slightly better. And Poké Park 1 also had a restart button for its minigames. And that game came out probably around a similar time as Galaxy 2, actually, because it was like 2009, 2010. And then Poké Park 2 was like 2012. I wonder which game in this list came out the latest. It's probably Poké Park 2. Because I don't think any other game came out in 2012. Return to Dreamland would probably be the closest. Because a lot of these games like 2007, 2008. Except Poké Park 1, which... Oh, Donkey Kong came out in like 2010, I think. Maybe Rumble came out in like 2009. Maybe 2010, because it has like platinum stuff in it, so it's definitely not a pre-Pokemon Platinum game. Either way, back to Galaxy 2. I feel like Galaxy 2 is just more fun to 100% than Galaxy 1. Because while the green stars have their haters, I kind of like them. Because it's an incentive to play a level, but instead to just explore the level. Which Galaxy 2 doesn't massively incentivize you to do in general, just because the level design is just a lot more streamlined than Galaxy 1, which for the most part I don't love, because I kind of liked what Galaxy 1 was doing in that regard, but I can understand why people prefer it. Imagine looking for green stars in Galaxy 1 with its wide open levels. Well, more wide open levels. Well, that said, if there's one thing Galaxy 2 easily wins in the face of, it's the power-ups. Because Galaxy 1's got the Bee Suit and the Spring Mushroom. I mean, Ice Mario is pretty cool, but he's not extremely transformative, I guess. Because all it does is let you walk on water and fire. Well, lava. But hey, skating is just one of the most fun things to do in Galaxy. And Ice Mario just lets you keep doing that, so that's kind of cool. But I can see why Ice Mario is the only Galaxy 1 power-up, not in Galaxy 2, because I don't know how much more ways there are to explore that power. Is there anything else to talk about with Galaxy 2 before we just move on and wrap up, I wonder? Probably not. Oh, something I'm a little chuffed about is, for whatever reason, the median master time for Galaxy 2 is like 56 hours. I'm not entirely sure why. But I'm pretty sure I've mastered it in like 35 hours. Oh no, 32 hours. It's like, what did I do that was 23 hours faster? Like, some games I've been pretty close to the median time, but other times like, whoa, why'd I finish this game so much faster? Like, what was it? Fast forwarding some of the retrying? That wouldn't save 20 hours, let me tell you. Either way, I think that's where we can put a nice little bow on this. It's been a journey. We've not taken one like this since the GameCube event, but the GameCube event was a lot more smaller scale because they only wanted 30 points as opposed to 50. So god, that was tough time commitment. I'm just lucky that for the GameCube event I jumped in like halfway through. I managed to do it with like a few days left, but this time I started like close to the start, give or take a week. And it still took me 3 months, because Well, just over 3 months, because once it hits like July 17th, the event's over. Though I do wonder how much sooner would I have finished if I didn't do stuff like the weekly AP and like the free TCG Pocket streams, I guess. There were also a couple of Pokemon Champion streams too. That's probably only like 10 to 15 streams, so... Oh yeah, I also took like 2 days off last week because I was like, yeah, I don't need to rush, I like, so got this. And it's also burning hot, so I can afford the downtime. But regardless, why, it was a fun journey, and thankfully I never felt burnt out during it. God, am I glad to not have to feel obligated to stream every day to continue this stupid event. And most importantly, I can actually play new games instead of old games, like, oh my god. Listen, I have fond memories of games, but as I've gotten older, I prefer to play new things and just play the old things over and over. RetroAchievements at least adds the mix-up I need to justify playing old games, but god, playing like so many old games in a row was so... Does PBR have a set? No, I believe it's being worked on, but that is a game that I would like to do the achievements for. Well, the problem is, it's just... Well, a problem is that game's gonna be like, oh, do this with only using rental Pokemon, and that's gonna be like, ugh. Like, kills the fun and intrigue in those games. Being forced to use rentals. So that's gonna be a shame. Yeah. Could be a turn off with doing that set, to be honest. But we'll see what it's like when it comes out. At least I assume it's not out already. I have to double check. Just to have a solid say on the matter. Yeah, it's not out yet. But it has been claimed by dev, so I assume it's being worked on. That is true, Gateway Coliseum does force rentals, but the thing is, if you're an achievement developer and you're like, oh, I need some challenges for my achievement set, and you're doing a Pokemon game with rentals that are bad, then it's like such a simple temptation to just be like, oh, you must do all of this content with only using the bad Pokemon. Ha 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 ha. And that's what the evil achievement developer sounds like. And then the poor marginalized people cry because they're forced to use the bad Pokemon instead of the cool Pokemon they want to use. Sob, sob, sob. But in any case, I think I've said all I can really say. I hope you enjoyed me yapping and reflecting on these games. I kind of wish I had more to say, but I just don't think generally I'm much of a yapper, so it's a shame, but it is what it is. But that's where we can end it all, because you know we're done here, and we're also done with retro achievements for the time being. There will inevitably be more, but after 3 months of like non-stop retro achievements, can you really blame me for being like, I need a sabbatical? Especially when I've got like 7 different games I want to play that are new. My backlog as is packed, and it's just been getting worse because I've not been playing anything in the new department. Oh, but if there's one thing to remember here, it's that the Kirby games are the best, and don't forget. Unfortunately, the best of Pokemon is on the DS, unsurprisingly. The Battle Revolution could come close, but achievement set wise, who knows? We'll have to see. Anywho, I thank you all for watching. I guess I'll be live tomorrow with Mina the Hollower, because that's a game that I own now, and it's a decent option for the first new game. Sure, I have a raid target. Can I spell? I think I can spell. Yeah, I can spell. Okay. I had my friend Kat. She's doing her usual thing, which is just drawing. But she's good at it, so that's good. You know the usual things. I can't do commands. Help. If you get nostalgic for any of the games that I've done the achievements for, they'll all be up on the archive channel eventually. And I guess so will the new games I've been playing too, because I basically upload anything that's a playthrough stuff. Alright, I don't have much else to say. I've been talking basically alone for like an hour, and I think I do deserve to stay evening to decompress from the retro achievements journey. So once again, thank you for joining me for it. I'm sure we'll do more in the future, but not so many games in a row, unless there's a 3DS event, which in which case, Lord have mercy. But that's like a problem in 1 or 2 years probably. Anyways, ciao!